Hi students, are you familiar with the concept of irony? If you come across a question in your paper 2 which requires you to explain why a situation is ironic, will you be able to do so? Well, in this short video, I will show you how it can be done correctly. Now, if you look up a dictionary for definition of irony, you will see likely defined as a situation which differs from expectation. Now, do keep in mind there are different types of irony. There's verbal irony, dramatic irony, even something called Socratic irony. But because this is a short video, I will only be discussing situation irony. So what are the parts to the answer for a question about situation irony? Well, there are 4 parts. Part 1, the basis or reason for having a certain expectation. Part 2, the description of the expectation itself. Part 3, the description of the reality, which differs from the expectation. And then optional part 4, the reason why reality differs from expectation. When you read the description of an ironic situation in a GP passage, or actually in life when we describe a situation irony to others, we will typically only supply limited pieces of information. Typically, part 1 is given together with part 3. Sometimes instead of part 3, part 2 will be given. It is rare for part 2 and part 3 to be given together because they are essentially contrasting descriptions. So if we have one part, we can derive the other part. Sometimes part 1 will also not be given, particularly in situations where part 1 can be derived from common sense. Now, let's look at an example. I'll use a simple one so that you can better follow my explanation. You should know that in this example, we have been given just one piece of information, the fact that the police station has been robbed. This corresponds to part 3 of the explanation for why the situation is ironic. We can derive part 2 of the explanation using part 3 because part 2 and part 3 contrast with each other. So in this case, part 2 would be the expectation that the police station should not have been robbed. In this example, part 1 has not been given, but we are able to come up with part 1 using so-called common sense. Part 1 will be something along the lines of a police station is manned by law enforcement professionals who are trained to handle criminals. So, a complete description of why the situation is ironic is as follows. Questions about situation ironies that you will encounter in paper 2 will of course not be as simple as the example that I've just shared with you. It will likely be more similar to the following example. To sum up, the parts of the answer explaining why a situation is ironic are: Okay, that's it for my video. Hope you have learned something useful about situation ironies. Thank you for watching. Bye!